Good evening, everybody. Yeah, so since this is the last class of Materia Medica, I thought I'll take this class mainly based on MCQs, multiple choice questions. And I've picked out a couple of MCQs from various books, especially the most common ones, okay, which we all read for our entrance exams. And I've tried to list out different types of MCQs. And I just hope that whatever we are going to share today, it will, and whatever I'm going to share with you today, it will be beneficiary for you. And what we'll do, since we cannot interact, since you cannot answer, we will read the question. We will explain why. I'll give the answer and I'll explain why the answer is correct. Okay, I'll explain to the maximum of my knowledge. So I've compiled around 100 MCQs, and I hope that it's beneficiary for you all. So let's go to the first one. So a couple of them are like this. There are a couple of symptoms given about one particular remedy or many remedies. Some of them are so semilateral headache with blurred vision or blindness preceding the attack, must lie down, aversion to light and noise, sight returns as the headache increases, and headache in small spots, can be covered by the tip of the finger. So in this particular question, you've got to keep a couple of things in mind. First of all, blurred vision or blindness preceding the attack, then the aversion to light and noise, then the sight returns as the headache increases. Okay, this is a keynote symptom, and headache in small spots is the grand keynote of that remedy and can be covered by the tip of the finger. So the remedies are Gelsemium, Kali bike, Sanguinaria, and Spigelia. So if you go back to the last classes, you will remember that the medicine is Kali bike, okay? Because all the symptoms in that particular question were suiting Kali bike. So next one, slow, deep-acting remedy, belongs to antisoric, antipsychotic, and antisyphilitic family, trimismatic. Tendency of destruction of tissues, okay, especially the syphilitic complaints and bone diseases, and the patient is very hot, okay. So slow, trimismatic, destruction, syphilitic, bone, and very hot. So think of the remedies which come for this. So the options are carbonic acid, Merxol, fluoric acid, and nitric acid. So if you look at the totality, we can obviously think there, we can obviously narrow it down to two remedies, which is Merxol and fluoric acid. Okay. Out of this, fluoric acid is the hottest amongst all. So the answer is fluoric acid. Okay. So it's pretty clear cut. If you break it down, it's pretty clear cut. Okay. So this is match the following. There'll be many choices like this, many questions like this given. So I've compiled a few of them. So this side you see constriction, contraction, and congestion, apprehension, anticipation, and hurry, chilly, dirty, and offensive, then sexual instinct, sexual thoughts, that's a spelling mistake, thoughts, and sexual frenzy. So this side in the medicines, you can see argentum nitricum, cactus, cantharis, and soranum. So first one, constriction, contraction, and congestion. We know that there is one remedy which is very, very important for constriction. The main keynote is constriction, and that is Cactus glandiflorus. Okay, so that's the first one. Apprehension, anticipation, and hurry. I'm sure everybody knows the remedy is argentum nitricum. Chilly, dirty, and offensive. It belongs to the chilliest remedy in Materia Medica, which is soranum. And obviously that leaves with sexual instinct, thoughts, and sexual frenzy, which goes to cantharis. Okay, so that's the answer. 1B, 2A, 3D, and 4C. Okay. So bad effects of anger, grief, or disappointed love, broods in solitude over imaginary troubles, persons mentally and physically exhausted by long concentrated grief. Okay. So think of the causation here: anger, grief, and disappointed love, broods in solitude over imaginary troubles. So that solitude thing is important, brooding is important. Patients mentally and physically exhausted by long concentrated grief. So the options are agaricus, cupromet, hyoscyamus, and ignatia. So if you look at this question, obviously the answer which comes to your mind is ignatia, but also we should not forget natriumure and phosphoric acid. Okay, they are the ones which can come as an options to confuse you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so obviously the answer is ignatia amara. Okay. So another match the following. So it's the list of medicines and time of aggravation. So arsenicum album is the first one, syphilinum is the second, natriumure and colocynth. Then the aggravation is 10 or 11 a.m., 4 to 9 p.m., sunset to sunrise, and 1 to 2 a.m. So let's go back to keynotes. Arsenicum album, it's either 1 to 2 a.m. or 1 to 2 p.m. Okay, so that's arsal, which goes to the fourth option. Then syphilinum, it's a syphilitic drug, and syphilitic miasm and syphilitic drugs have an aggravation from in the night, basically. So syphilinum belongs to sunset to sunrise, opposite of natriumure. Okay, sunset to sunrise. So syphilinum will go to the third one. Natriumure, especially the stomach complaints, general complaints also, they are aggravated at 10 or 11 a.m. like sulfur. Sulfur also has that empty sensation in the stomach or all-gone sensation at 11 a.m. So natriumure will go to option 1. Colocynth, just like lycopodium, both of them have the aggravation at 4 to 9 p.m. Okay, so colocynth will go to number 2. Okay. So it's 1D, 2C, 3A, and 4B. So consider the following symptoms regarding the hemorrhagic diathesis. Hemimellus is prostration out of proportion to the amount of blood loss. Okay. Cecal cord, continuous oozing of sanguineous liquid blood. Okay. Lachesis, hemorrhage from left side of the body, bright red and coagulable. China or cinchona, aversion to sour things during hemorrhage. Okay. So which is the correct statement? Let's analyze. Hemimellus prostration, it could be multiple correct statements, by the way. Hemimellus prostration out of proportion to the amount of blood loss. So this is a keynote of hemimellus. It's the correct statement. Cecal cord, continuous oozing of sanguineous liquid blood. This is the wrong statement, because if you go to cecal cord, it is not sanguineous blood, it is dark red bleeding, clotted bleeding. Okay. Then lachesis, hemorrhage from left side of the body, bright red and coagulable. Left side is correct, but it's not bright red, it's dark red, it's venous bleeding. Okay, so that is a wrong statement. Then China or cinchona, aversion to sour things during hemorrhage. So this is also wrong if you go back to keynotes. So the answer is hemimellus. So this is the correct statement. Hemimellus, prostration out of proportion to the amount of blood loss. Okay. So let's go with the case. A 7-year-old child with convulsions screams and has violent jerking of hands and feet. He has pinching colic in abdomen before passing stools with mucus-like pieces of popcorn, also grinds the teeth at night. So what all do we have here? It's a child, okay, child remedy, convulsion remedy, screaming and violent jerking, colic, okay, diarrhea which looks like pieces of popcorn, okay, and grinding of teeth. So it's more of a worm remedy. So what are the options? Belladonna, chamomilla, cicuta, and senna. Okay. So when you look at this particular totality, you get 2 remedies in your mind. First is cicuta and the next is senna. But senna has that popcorn stools and grinding of teeth. So the answer is senna maritima. Okay. So another case, a 46-year-old woman consults you for painful swelling of throat for about 12 days. The complaint started with mild fever, with chilliness followed by painful swelling, associated with suffocation and attacks of palpitations, and no cough. Wants to keep feet in a cold place, very hungry. All complaints are better by eating, excessive thirst. So painful swelling of throat, okay, mild fever and chilliness, painful swelling follows it, suffocation, attacks of palpitation, okay, wants to keep feet in cold place, very hungry, all complaints are better by eating and excessive thirst. So these are the keynotes which you have to take. So the options are iodine, phosphorus, spongia, and sulfur. Okay. So when we think of the symptoms like painful swelling of the throat, then suffocation, palpitations, we think of spongia and iodine. These are the two remedies which come. Now, how do we differentiate? Wants to keep feet in a cool place. Okay, very hungry. All complaints are better by eating, and excessive thirst. So these symptoms belong to iodine because iodine is a very hot patient and they're always hungry. Iodine. So that's why the answer is iodine. Okay. So a 9-year-old is brought to you with complaints of moderate fever and sore throat for 2 days. There is sore, aching, bruised feeling all over the body. Okay. On examination, head is hot and limbs are cold. Tonsils are red with white patches. He also feels as if hot coal was present in his throat. So don't jump to conclusions just by reading the first two statements. Read the whole thing. Okay. This goes for each and every question. Read the whole thing and then you can answer. Okay. So the choices are belladonna, arnica, mercurius, and phytolacca. So obviously everybody will definitely think of arnica because of that particular sore, ache, bruise feeling all over, then hot limbs, and I mean head is hot and the limbs are cold. But you should go one step ahead and see. Okay. So there's one particular keynote here. He also feels as if hot coal was present in his throat. So looking at that, you can always think of phytolacca because that is the main keynote symptom of phytolacca. So next one, a female of 45 has sciatica of right side, which always aggravates at night and during sleep, and is better when not lying on the right side. She has gnawing pains in stomach but feels better by eating. Throat is painful on swallowing, which becomes aggravated after warm liquids. So what are the options we have? Lycopodium, phytolacca, lachesis, and mercuroflavin. So this is a confusing statement here. Okay, I mean not confusing. You should understand the question properly. So sciatica right side always aggravates at night and during sleep. Okay, and is better when not lying on the right side. She has gnawing pains in the stomach but feels better after eating. Throat is painful on swallowing, which becomes worse after warm liquids. So the last statement, if you see, you'll get the remedy as lachesis. Okay, I know lachesis is a left-sided, but there is a sector where the lachesis can be right side as well. Remember, lachesis starts from the left and goes to the right. Okay. So let's consider the following drugs: Rustox, Conium maculatum, Nux vomica, and Ranunculus bulbosus. These are the 4 options. So which of the above are obtained from poisonous plants? Okay. So Rustox, you know. What's the common name of Rustox? You know, it's poison ivy. Okay. Conium mac also is obtained from a poisonous background. Okay. Nux vomica is poison nut. So that's also a poisonous background. Ranunculus bulbosus is also from the poisonous background if you go back to pharmacy. Okay. Hence the option is all of the above. So there are many questions which can confuse you like this. They might say one particular thing and then just say the 2 of them and then say all of the above or none of the above. So please be vigilant about the question and read the question properly. Okay. A patient cannot walk with eyes closed, trembles with general debility, has paralysis with mental and abdominal symptoms, rigidity of calf muscles with debility, walks and stands unsteady, especially when unobserved, has numbness in arms and post-diphtheric paralysis. So obviously it is a CNS related remedy. Okay, cannot walk with eyes closed, trembling is there, debility is there, paralysis is there with mental and abdominal symptoms. Okay, rigidity of calves with debility, okay. Walks and stands unsteady. So this is important. Walks and stands unsteady, especially when unobserved. Then numbness and post-diphtheric paralysis. So think of CNS remedies. So you'll get gelsemium, you'll get causticum, you'll get chamomilla, and you'll get argentum nitricum. So obviously, when we think of when we think of this particular question, we think argentum nitricum and gelsemium. They're very close running remedies. But the obvious answer is argentum nitricum because of this particular symptom that the patient cannot walk with the eyes closed and walks and stands unsteady, especially when unobserved. If you go to Boric and keynotes, you'll find out that argentum nitricum has this particular symptom. Okay. Remember, argentum and gelsemium are very close running. Very good for examination form. Okay, both of them. So let's go to a little bit of match the following. So here we have medicines and diseases. We have nosodes, parotidinum, pertussinum, pyrogenum, and baryta carb. Okay. Then this side we have quinsy, puerperal fever, whooping cough, and mumps. Okay. So let's look. Parotidinum. So parotidinum is parotid gland. Okay, and it's a very, very specific intercurrent for mumps. So first one will go to mumps. Pertussinum. So let's go to the causative bacteria for whooping cough. Okay, which is pertussinum. Then the answer of pertussinum will go to whooping cough. Then pyrogenum. Pyrogenum, you know, it's more of a septic and a puerperal drug. So it will go to puerperal fever. And baryta carb, we all know it's very, very particularly given for tonsils and quinsy. So it will go to quinsy. Baryta carb will go to option 1. So that's the answer. 1D, 2C, 3B, and 4A. Okay. So which of the following is the correct order that matches with sequential order of desire for sweets, aversion to sweets, and aggravation from sweets? So keep this question in mind. Your drug should suit that particular order. Desire, aversion, and aggravation. So let's look at the drugs. Argentum nitricum, China, and graphites. China, argentum nitricum, and graphites. Graphites, argentum nitricum, China. China, graphites, and argentum nitricum. So we know graphites has an aversion to sweets, correct? If you go back to Materia Medica, it's quite clear. We know argentum has a desire for sweets, especially candies, but they are also aggravated from sweets. Okay. So if you look at option 4, you get China, graphites, and argentum nitricum. And we know that China also has a desire for sweets. So the answer is the last one. D is the correct answer. China, graphites, and argentum nitricum. Okay. Next. So consider the following medicines and symptoms regarding colic of the abdomen. Colocynth, pain in abdomen with restlessness and ameliorated by heart pressure and bending double. Okay. Platina, pain abdomen with restlessness and better by heart pressure and warm applications. Okay. Magphos, pain in abdomen, better by passing stools. Chamomilla, pain in abdomen with irritability. So what is the question? Oh, sorry. What is the question regarding colic of abdomen? Which all is correct? Sorry, I made a mistake there. Which all is correct? So we'll go to the first one. Colocynth, you know, the pain in abdomen with restlessness. Okay. Better by heart pressure and bending double. So this is a symptom of colocynth. We all know that. Platina, pain abdomen with restlessness and better by heart pressure and warm application does not come. Magphos, pain in abdomen, better by rubbing or better by warm applications. So not better by passing stools. Chamomilla, pain in abdomen with irritability. That is absolutely true. So the first one and the fourth one is the right answer. Okay. So first one and the fourth one. So don't always think that only one is the right answer. Go through all the questions properly. I mean, go through all the choices properly. Okay. So then oversensitivity of nerves, scratching of linen or silk, crackling of paper is unbearable, and it is a characteristic symptom of Antim crude, Staphysagria, Asarum europaeum, and Telia. Okay. So the first two, definitely not. Telia is a very rare remedy. It's not, it doesn't have this particular symptom. So the only remaining remedy is Asarum europaeum. So if you go to keynotes, you'll know that it's one of the most hypersensitive drugs. This particular thing is given in the keynotes. Okay. Asarum europaeum. That's the answer. From amongst the remedies, which is antimiasmatic given below, pick up the grand antipsychotic remedies. Okay. Argentum nitricum, medorinum, natrum sulf, sepia. Ars iode, kali iode, mercor, and medorinum. Natrum sulf, sepia, aurum mur natronatorum, kali iode, mercor, kali iode, aurum mur natronatorum, and ars iode. Now you should be very careful about all these remedies. Now, if you have knowledge on one particular remedy, it will become very simple for you. For example, I'll give you an idea. Ars iode is a tubercular remedy. We all know, okay? And anything with iode covers tubercular. So keep that in mind. So obviously the answer will be the first one. Keep it in mind that iode is predominantly tubercular. And the question is antipsychotic. So wherever iode is there, scratch it out. So you'll be left with the first option. Okay, and that's the answer. The patient is fat, chilly with delayed menstrual history. Nails are deformed, crumbling and brittle, sore and painful. So which is the remedy? Calcarea carb, merc sol, sulfur, graphites. So very difficult because you'll obviously think of the first one and the last one. Okay, calcarea carb and graphites. But fat, chilly with delayed menstrual history. That is important. So obviously the remedy will be graphites, okay, because graphites is having that menstrual irregularities, delayed menstrual history, fat, chilly, lazy, okay. So this is the subtle differences between calcarea and graphites, okay. Let's go to the next one. During difficult dentition, children are unable to digest milk. This is a characteristic of Magmure, natrum mure, arsal, rustox. So I think this is quite an easy question. I mean, it's quite a straightforward question because mag definitely has it, natrum doesn't, arsenic doesn't, and rustox doesn't. So this is quite easy to answer that it's quite easy to find out that the answer is magnesium muriaticum. Okay, because Magmure has a marked intolerance to milk and also marked inability to indigest milk. I mean, digest milk, not indigest, digest milk. Okay. So this is something new for me as well. I read it in one of the books, so I'm going to share it with you. Dr. Hahnemann, while proving the Peruvian bark, took 4 grams of china twice a day, 1 gram of china 3 times a day, 2 grams of china once a day, and 4 grams of china once a day. If you know the answer to this question, it's very great. I did not, and I learned it from by reading. The answer is the last one. Okay, he took 4 grams of china once a day. Okay. So the first nosode proved by Dr. Hahnemann was medorinum, sorinum, parotidinum, or bacillinum. So we all think it is going to be medorinum, but actually it is not medorinum. The answer is sorinum. Until now, I had the idea that sorinum was proved by Herring, but actually it is proved by Hahnemann. Okay. So let's go to some more match the followings. Okay, we have medicine and we have keynotes. So medicines we have camphora, colophilum, thuja, and lycopodium. So the keynotes we have leucorrhea preventing pregnancy, sequelae of measles, coition prevented by extreme sensitiveness of vagina, and coition prevented by extreme dryness of vagina. Okay, so whichever you should answer in this. Lycopodium goes towards extreme dryness of vagina. Colophilum goes towards coition prevented by extreme sensitiveness. Even thuja also goes to that. So many remedies have the same symptom. So you should be careful to see which is the right one. Okay. So the answer is 1B, 2A, 3C, and 4D. So I told you, thuja and colophilum both have. So you should be very careful. Okay. So next is marasmus of abrotanum is characterized by marasmus of neck, marasmus of lower extremities, marasmus of breast, and marasmus of whole body. Okay. So abrotanum, if you go to keynotes, you will find out that marasmus, especially of the lower extremities, is the right answer. Okay. Neck goes towards natrium, and whole body goes towards iodine. Okay. Just a small clarification about the question about the China drams. So I read it from the book. If you have read it from somewhere else, if that is the correct answer, great, because in this book it was given that one. I had the least idea about it. Okay, so I'm sorry if I'm given the wrong answer. Okay, so this one is marasmus of abrotanum is characterized by marasmus of the lower extremities. So inordinate craving for meat in children is a characteristic of magcar, magmure, and crude and sulfur. So this is another, I would say, quite a difficult question because it's very pinpoint located and it's not that a characteristic of this particular remedy. Okay, the answer is magcar. Okay, because magcar, if you go back and see, especially boric, if I'm not mistaken, it has inordinate craving for meat in children. Okay,